Virgo, this is your March 2022 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is a general reading. We're going to give you some astrological dates to look out for and intuitive messages that are hopefully going to help you to navigate through this next few weeks, feeling a little bit more equipped. All right, so we're opening up in Pisces season with the energy of the Three of Pentacles, Virgo. And there's something here I feel about you being closer than you've ever been. Closer to appreciating yourself more deeply, closer to figuring out what it is that you want, closer to finding the love that you crave or the opportunity to create or to deliver on something. But at the same time, I feel there's a requirement to address almost like some unfinished business. So even though there's a part of you that just wants to push forward and to get something done, to push it over the line, or to feel like you're ready to kind of prioritize or give more time and energy to something, because we have this full moon in your sign through March, coming in on the 18th of the month at 27 degrees, so very potent, coming in with a sun sextile to Pluto. So this charge of energy wants to make a more permanent adjustment and something that's really going to truly transform. But remember, the full moon brings something to fruition, brings it to a point where we need to have a release. And it feels to me that you'll be aware of what that is and where it sits within your pathway right now. And we don't want to ignore it, because the energy of that three is very, very constructive. It can be very helpful for you. But it's still quite early on in the process. And sometimes holding back or not saying the things that need to be said can put us in that energy of later regretting or just it creating some sense of resistance. So we want you to be really aware of where you have that feeling that there is something unfinished. And even if there are things that you yourself can't necessarily see the closure in, there's still something about how you need to make peace with something, what it's going to take for you to be able to let it go. That's going to be really significant for how you start to invite in things that are ready to show up in your path. Now, King of Cups energy comes in, water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. For some of you, especially in 7th house energy of Pisces season, it may be a specific person with that sign or someone who is connected to this idea of there being unfinished business. But you're ready to move forward. And this is, remember, the month where we have an equinox energy. Things are going to get rebalanced and be put in the right order. It's the beginning of a new astrological year. And you have a time in 7th house, remember, where all sorts of new connections and relationships want to come in and show up and start to demonstrate to you how they can be of service in order to help you to gain ground. Now, the King of Cups is about that sense of emotional mastery as well. It's about the wisdom that has been created as a result of what you've been through. And there's something about the promises that you now need to be able to keep to yourself. The promises that, however small they have been, perhaps over time you've just consistently broken, and they've ended up putting you in a situation where perhaps you're lacking the belief, or you don't find that sense of confidence or having the courage of the conviction that you need in order to follow through on something. It's not the big promises that you're saying out loud to other people. It's the things that quietly behind the scenes, behind closed doors, you've said to yourself, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to put up with that anymore. I'm not going to allow that anymore. So you need to start to recognize where showing up for yourself and committing in that way is really the answer to help you to get closer to all of these things that you have been asking for. It's a time when we want you to be moving in the direction to embrace those people who do respect you, to go to those places where your heart is understood and the language that you speak is recognized, to places where you feel like there's oxygen, where you can breathe, because that puts you in a position where you can start to really create magic. You can start to operate at the best of yourself. The Magician indicates that this is a month where the creativity can be really tangible. You can actually really start to see meaningful progress. And even though it still might feel a bit transitionary, like you're, still juggling with more than one thing and you're not really getting a free, clear road ahead to be able to invest 100% of yourself in the things that you want, you'll be surprised at how much you can get done in the limited time that you do have, and that matters. Even though what we're seeing unfolding on the world stage feels like it's so much bigger than us and at times can feel very helpless, at the same time it does begin with us. We have to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves and honouring the things that we say we need and that we want in our life, because that's what feels nourishing and satisfying, and that puts us in a higher vibrational energy, which is what helps to heal. It's what helps to find solutions and put us in an energy where we can show up as part of that solution. The thing that you're also recognizing through the course of this month, and this is a hard one I feel sometimes to really get our head wrapped around, is that the dreams that we have, when they start to show up for us, and I have a sense with that Magician energy, you are about to see the deliverance of things. Perhaps you've been waiting for some time, energy of the Lovers coming in. It may be specific to a relationship or a partnership or the coming together of something, yeah? But when those dreams come true, they also bring with them more responsibility. They bring with them some stress. They bring with them a lot more hard work, or maybe even some doubt, and sometimes we forget that these natural human responses are okay, and it's just an inevitable part of the process. And actually it can help to balance out our expectations so that we don't get, in the illusion, which in Pisces season is very typical sometimes. We go into the fantasy, when this shows up, everything will be okay. Well, no, it won't. It will be a reminder that we're that, one step closer to be able to really understand what it means to be able to be open and receptive and attuned to the things that we can manifest in our world. But we're human and we're complex, and we have all of these other emotional experiences and storylines that still come in and poke the bear and trigger us. And so it can be an opportunity for deeper reflection and a state of acceptance on knowing that when these things start to come in for you, they might still feel like you have to work hard at them, or there's going to be some things that still need to kind of be ironed out, so to speak. There's an understanding, I think, with that full moon coming in your sign this month, Virgo, that some soul wounds are going to get stirred up a little bit. And there's a sense of you now knowing with a greater degree of clarity what can no longer be part of the vision for the future. And again, that can be very conflicting, because it may still feel like it's okay. It's not so awful. It's not necessarily something that you couldn't continue to tolerate. But to get to where you want to go, there has to be a bigger change and a bigger decision or choice that comes from you this month. She's made her way to the very top of this mountain to give this ego the best possible chance to take flight. And so it's almost like you've done everything that you could to create the perfect environment or space for some dream of yours to become a reality. So why stop short at the final mile, the final hurdle? This is a month where you need to go in all the way. And that's, again, that indication of like needing to keep a promise to yourself, I feel, that's going to be really important. On the 3rd, we have the final part of the story of the Venus-Pluto conjunction that started in December on the 11th and then the 25th. And so there's something that has been understood by you, that you have been through, that has knocked and reshaped and reformed your own value consciousness through this push and pull energy, this conflict, this inner conflict, but perhaps also the contrast that played out in some of the closest relationships around you. It may have felt at times like you were blindfolded, you didn't know who you were fighting. It was like, I know I'm in a great fight here, but who's the enemy? It was unclear. well, really, we're probably fighting with ourselves. But look at this figure who's just stood quite calmly in the background, observing what's playing out around him here. This is the opportunity for you now as you emerge out of that transit. This is what I see for you. There's no longer a need to keep beating the hornet's nest and stirring things up. You don't want to be engaged or participating in that. But you're looking at that struggle, that fight, that energy playing out perhaps with people who are still struggling or have lost their way. So it's a time really to embody what it is that you've learned, and that's deeply personal. No one can really give you the answer for that. But I think you've got a really clear idea now of who you want to be and how you want to show up, personally, professionally, romantically. And you need to give yourself the best chance of making that happen in March. Because that equinox energy, as we align with the natural rhythm and cycle of the earth, remember, is a reset for you. The full moon is a reset. So where in your world are you ready for that? Because if you're closer than you've ever been, then why not take advantage of every opportunity that can come your way? And by seizing that and really being true to yourself, you're also helping some of the trouble and the strife in other areas of the world, because you're really saying, I'm here and I'm alive and I'm being present and I'm showing up for myself. And I'm grateful for the freedom that I have to make those choices and decisions. And that's how I will honor and respect you, by being the best person that I can be right now. Now the Hierophant comes in, it links into the energy of fellow earth sign Taurus, but it's also about the wisdom that's been gained. And it's also your ability to honestly be in a position that says, I don't know what I don't know, so educate me, teach me, help me to advance, help me to be better, help me to know more, help me to figure out where to commit and invest and prioritize my energy. You may even, some of you want to retrain, to learn new skills that you know are going to be valuable and help you become that better version of yourself. The energy of feeling like you're going back to school, or coming into that time where you're like, okay, I know I'm sort of back at the beginning. I took something so far, but now there's that recognition that to get to the next level, even if it's in a relationship or something that you're trying to achieve in your life, you have to be open and honest enough with yourself to say, like, I just don't have all the answers here. So where can I go? Who can I seek out? What are the trusted sources of wisdom and information and knowledge that I feel resonant with, that I can go and feel respected and heard and seen, and kind of come to that place of like, yes, there's going to be something valuable and enriching for me through this experience. I think you'll be seeking that quite strongly through the course of this month. But there's also commitment here and ceremony. There's some sort of ritual taking place, informally or formally for you. And again, I think that's laced in these new promises that you are determined to keep for yourself. And all of that is going to help you to attune to, what does it feel like for me to be in a greater sense of harmony with who I'm becoming. Energy of the Fool. We have to embark on a new pathway. It hasn't been walked before. It is a bit of a blind faith moment. It is this sense of like you are completely going into the unknown with something. It's okay though. You have everything that you need. You are traveling light. There is crystal clear clarity around you. That sun is burning brightly. It's here to remind you that all of the answers that you need are given to you in exactly the right moment. But you have to give yourself chance to break free from the confines of what in any way, shape or form were limiting you or holding you back in some regard. You might have a bit of a dizzying feeling through the course of this month. Like, my God, this thing I'm about to do is like really insane. Like, I can't believe I'm actually about to say this or to make this happen for myself. But the Magician says you will make it happen. Because you're too invested now. You've come too far. They're not going to let you turn back at this point. And remember, all of that Aquarian energy with Mars and Venus shifting into the sign, we're still working with Saturn in Aquarius. You know, all of that is about not aligning to the convention, wanting to progress, wanting to do things differently. Page of Cups. There is this beautiful recognition on your part of how you can start to, from a language perspective, really be more honest and have more sensitivity, both with yourself but also to the people around you. Again, we've got this full moon energy and the two fish are just leaping out of the water. So perhaps in a bit of an uncomfortable position around that time, especially as we're going to have Venus squaring Uranus on the 19th and Mars squaring Uranus on the 22nd. So remember, they can create some friction and tension. You know, and you may have some people kind of, what about me? Where do I fit? Where do I sit in these plans or in this decision that you've just made for yourself? But sometimes we have to kind of really keep going and have a little bit of a tunnel vision and allow ourselves the gift and the grace of just saying, look, I have to follow this all the way through and I don't know the answers and I'm not really sure what it looks like for you. But what I do know is that if I stay true to myself and I allow myself to grow and expand and evolve and to tap into the gifts that are here for me, I speak to myself in a new way and therefore communicate differently to you, that ultimately that will have to create a better situation for the whole, even if it means that there's change that's going to be difficult for all of us to have to experience, you know? But there's an indulgence here, and I think there's two parts to that. I think you need to indulge yourself and kind of really see where something goes, Virgo, but also other people around you with that Five of Wands energy, maybe trying to use that sense of indulgence in a way to just create conflict, create tension. And it's not something that you need to be or want to be or ought to be a part of, okay? You're going to be pulled in a different direction. So you just need to really trust and anchor and root into that energy, because that's what's going to help to create this new foundation for you. This new foundation for peace, but also for readiness to receive. You have to recognize the things that no longer work or don't excite you anymore or don't make you feel like you. So let's have a look and see how the Oracle cards just want to join this conversation. Just a quick heads up, I actually have my own Oracle deck that's coming out for pre-orders later this month, which I'm super excited about. If you'd like to get a preview or hear all about the details of when that's going to be going live, there is a link in the description and the comment section underneath, and really looking forward to being able to use those cards during our soul stories, so stay tuned for that. Okay, let's have a look. Oracle card. The cosmic womb, the divine feminine. There's a gestation period that you've been through and you're still emerging from right now that has invited you to come back home to yourself, to come back into a state of heart energy. And it's required a sensitivity and a tactile response to things that have felt hard, have felt like they've rubbed really challengingly in the way that you perceive yourself and things that you've gone through of what's playing out in the world. But as you have allowed yourself to sit and continue to stay in that space and really allow yourself to heal through some of those soul wounds that have emerged, you've come to an understanding of what is no longer right, what is no longer true, what no longer resonates for you. And now there's a deeper sense of knowing and a courage to say that I can allow myself to go through this cycle and to change. So there's something about the shift and the change that emerges within you as a result of what you have been through. I think you're going to surprise yourself quite powerfully in March in terms of your readiness to take something on that perhaps you've sat on the fence for a very long time, or has just felt out of reach. have a look at the astrology card, Virgo. You have the retrograde card coming through, review. Sometimes we have to look back to look forward. And that's where this idea of the unfinished business is really significant this month. You will be reviewing the investment into things and what it's yielded for you, not from a place of deep judgment or criticism, but just in an honesty, just in a kind of brute facts, like let's just call it as it is and really see the things that are no longer working. Because why would you want to keep showing up there if you're closer than you've ever been to finding love, to finding the answer, to achieving the things that you want, to coming into introduction with new people and new energies that can take you forward. So this deep introspective evaluation is everything through the course of March. It's like the arrow being pulled back, and then as we make our way towards the end of the month with that new astrological energy of Aries season, and particularly as we make our way to the new moon in Aries, you're about to send it out and it's going to go really far for you. The choices and decisions that you make in March have a weight to them and a rootedness and a grounded feeling that's going to be more comfortable with you and really act, I think, as such a powerful catalyst for people around you to start to see actually the ways in which you have evolved and changed and start to give you the respect and the recognition for that. So this is a general reading for the month of March. I'm just going to invite you to think about a question that might not have come up in the main spread. We'll go ahead and pull a couple of personal cards for you, Virgo, in relation to that. Okay. If you're new to the channel, the extended reading is another 20 minutes to go deeper into some of these messages for you and, of course, cover off your personal questions. So a way to support my channel as well. And I'm very grateful for those of you that decide to join me. Okay, so the Three of Pentacles comes in with the energy of justice. Ace of Swords. King of Swords. Very Libran energy coming through there with justice and the King of Swords. That might be relevant for some of you. But again, that emphasis around relationships. And even as we go into Aries season and it's 8th house for you, the merging of resources, loyalties, coming together or moving apart, it's all going to be very much some of the themes that are playing themselves out. There's another Page of Cups coming in there. Interesting. Queen of Cups. Ace of Wands. The Lovers comes in with this star here. Beautiful. Another Five of Wands. I really think you do know what you need to avoid or whom you need to avoid this month. Feels like unnecessary arguments playing out. You've got work to do, Virgo. Places to be. Things to achieve. It's not worth your while. Pull a couple more here. Five of Cups. And the Knight of Pentacles. Alright, Virgo, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're joining me for the extended, look forward to continuing this conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you beautiful blessings for this month. I hope you find the reading valuable as the energies continue to unfold.